But when you actually believe, when you dive, when you refuse to take what you don't want to believe anymore and take what you do want to believe and make it your reality, then you are shifting and you are realizing the power that you actually have and the power that the universe is giving to you to literally jump to dimensions of what you want to experience. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zot Beauty. Today, I'm going to be talking about the current reality that we live in and how you are able to shift dimensions to what you want to exist in. If that sounds like something you would be interested in, then keep on watching. So what is the current reality that we live in? Well, there are 3 different dimensions that overlay each other within the same sequence. There's the 3rd dimension, the 4th dimension, and the 5th dimension. Most of us are more existing in the 3rd dimension, whereas some of us are on the 5th dimension. Now, they're not completely separate. They exist in the same timeline. However, it seems separated because you only perceive that which you are the vibration of. So if you are on the higher vibrations of the 5D, you are not going to perceive too much of the reality of the 3D. Just like when you are on the 3D way of thinking, you're not going to experience that much of the 5D. So we have the 3D thinking, the ego, and then we have the 5D thinking, which is the higher self. So 3rd dimension, 5th dimension, in between is the 4th dimension, but that just has to do with time. Pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame, loneliness, living on autopilot, just letting anything happen to you, not taking control of your life. And this, as you see, is a lower vibration. It brings you down. Now, this brings you up, which is the 5D, which is the higher self way of thinking. This has to do with enlightenment, peace, joy, love, reasoning, acceptance, willingness, neutrality, courage, and connection. So where we want to be is the ultimate consciousness. Where we don't want to be is suffering, right? So when I say 3rd dimension and 5th dimension, most people think of like a different place. Whereas this is more of a consciousness shift. See, when you are someone who perceives more in the 3rd dimension, like let's say a linear way of thinking, which is past, present, future, which is this is who I was, this is what made me who I am, and this is what I'm going to be because of it, right? Whereas in the 5th dimension, it's more of your feeling of the enlightenment, the peace, the joy, you actualization, realization of the 3rd dimension and coming above that into creating your own reality. Intuition sets in, your 3rd eye opens, etc. So what you need to know how to shift dimensions now is that every current life that is possible exists right now. They're in different dimensions. A version of you that does their schoolwork and gets things done on time and is a successful businesswoman, whereas there's another reality of you that exists at the same time right now that is someone who does drugs and someone who steals things and goes down the wrong path and hurts people. all of those current realities exist right now in different dimensions between the veils, and it is up to us what we choose to vibrate at to determine our reality. Now, instead of creating your own reality, how about you just shift to the reality that you want to be living in? For example, let's just say someone who wants to lose weight, right? Their current reality, their third way of thinking, their guilt, their shame, their sadness for being so fat. They just hate themselves. They look in the mirror just to torture themselves and cry. Like, I used to be like that. And then there's somebody who wants to change, right? So when they realize that they can change and that there is a possibility to shift into the next reality of the person who is a fitness guru or someone who eats really healthy, and it changes the inside into the outside of the way their lifestyle affects them. If you want to switch that reality, you are going to have to act as if you are already in that dimension. And as you do that, the subtle changes you make and the vibration brings you higher until you are there existing in that current reality. So, like I said, for example, let's say you are that girl who's super insecure about herself and her weight, right? You want to be the fitness girl. You want to be confident. You want to feel sexy. You want to love yourself. So in order to do that, you are going to have to act as if you are already that girl. You will get into the habits of that girl. Think of the habits of a fitness girl. What do? Well, they get up early in the morning, right? This is just an example. They get up early in the morning. Maybe they make themselves like a little shake for the day full of nutrients. Then they get their exercise routine on. Then they eat healthy foods throughout the day and keep themselves active. And they read up on fitness tips and they look at fitness inspiration to get their serotonin going so they get happier and more excited for their results. Those are the habits of someone who is a fitness person. Now, you cannot shift into that reality if you are still doing the same things as your current reality that you do not want to be in, which is like sitting on the couch and eating a bunch of potato chips and crying, eating ice cream, watching Netflix, and just, not doing anything to progress. In order to shift dimensions, you're going to have to make it your task to put in action in order to travel into those dimensions. So again, let's say you're poor, right? You're a poor person. You've always been poor. Nothing but pennies, right? Now, you want money. And you can change your reality easily. So what do you do to become this rich person or this wealthy person, this well-off person who doesn't have to worry about money? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to do those habits of that person. You are going to read up on financial books. You are going to study business models. You are going to create concepts and ideas and brainstorm on different ways you can increase your income. You are going to find multiple streams of income, and you are going to put that businesswoman like in action in order to get those results. And then once you start getting the results of which you've been acting and what you've been perceiving and the vibration that you are vibrating at, you will continue to progress and to progress and to progress until you are that person that you once dreamt of. Right? Like what I did, for example, another example, what I did to shift my dimension, what I did to shift my reality when I was younger. that I actually had no idea that this was what I was doing, but it just came to me naturally, right? I used to get bullied a lot. Like a lot. I used to have people like push me against the walls, push me on the ground, be like, oops, you know what I mean? Like, people would throw food in my hair at lunch. Like, people would make fun of me in front of the whole class, and the whole class would join in on roasting me. You know what I mean? Like, it was some dark times. I can't lie. And it's when you're stuck in that 3D, right? When you're stuck in that third dimensional thinking, it's that, oh, well, I'm a loser and losers do this, and I feel shame, and I feel lonely. I feel like my life is on autopilot, right? It's kind of hard to get out of that if that's all you know, right? But I realized I wanted something to change. I did not want to keep living in that current reality when I got to high school. So high school was really important for me to change that. So when I was getting bullied and stuff, I took into action of what were my habits that I was currently doing, and how can I change those to the habits of a girl who is popular, who has lots of friends, who is liked by many, right? So what did I do? How did I take those steps into becoming popular? Well, for one, I started to change the way I looked. I observed the girls that were liked more. I observed their outfits. I observed the way they did their hair. I observed the way they did their makeup. I observed the way they spoke to other people, like their mannerisms and how they speak, their lingo. And I'm not saying you have to do this in order to become popular. This is just how I took it and how I created it into something that made myself popular, not for the materialistic things, but for actual me. But this is how I got started. So I observed those things, and then I took notes, literal notes, like actual notes. Wear pink on Wednesdays, like actual notes. And I started to dress like that, act like that. And then I started to see a difference. I was still that girl that was still getting teased, but it was way less then, right? And then it's not just the look. You can't just look the part, because that's not all that it is. I thought I was getting teased for my looks. However, I was getting teased for I don't know, the vibration I was giving off. Obviously, I did not feel confident about myself. Therefore, people notice that, and then they poke fun. Kids are mean. So I started exuding that confidence that the girls who were popular had. I started talking more and smiling more and being more relatable and, really engaging in that same behavior that I saw, and kind of made it into my own and put in my own personality. And that's when people were really like, wow, I didn't realize how cool you were. Like, it's crazy. I thought you were so weird till I got to know you, and now you're like so cool. And honestly, people can see how you feel about yourself, right? One person just says something nasty to you, you don't let that get to you. But I let it get to me, and it balled up inside of me, and it ended up showing on the outside. That's when the acne came out, and then my hair started being way more frizzier, and I gained more weight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I let those things that those people say to me become my reality, become my truth. I was like, well, I guess I'm just fat, so whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to believe that. You don't. Instead, I started telling myself, I am so beautiful. My hair is so full and pretty and thick, and everybody wants it. And my skin is clear, it's pretty, my skin is golden. Like, I just started telling myself these things, and I started acting as if I was that girl that I wanted to be. And then I became that girl. And then other girls and guys were asking me how I did it, how I got myself out of those slumps of being teased every day to being one of the girls that people like want to sit with at lunch. You know what I mean? So it's all about getting into the habit of that you want to be, of doing that as if, until you reach that. Because it will become a habit, a habitual ritual. And then it just becomes who you are. And then the thoughts that you perceive are what you put out, right? So obviously there's, like I said, they exist on the same plane, the 3D and the 5D. There's always going to be somebody that throws a wrench at you, but it is up to you to decide whether you want to stay getting hit by wrenches or if you want to ascend into the 5D, which is enlightenment, peace, joy, love, reasoning, connection to others, higher self connection. When you start to put yourself into your passion and start to dive into what makes you really happy, and you start to feel happy because you are living the reality that you believe you deserve, then that is when things will start to open up for you, and more possibilities and more doors open for things for you to do. Said my bullies, all of a sudden they just disappeared. They moved away, or they just stopped talking to me. They stopped making fun of me every day when it was their habit to make fun of me every single day. But because I wasn't the same person and wasn't thinking the same ideas and wasn't putting out the same vibration, they no longer could see me. I mean, they could see me, but you know what I mean? Like, they couldn't perceive me anymore because I wasn't on their same vibration. So they went and picked on someone who was on the weaker, lower vibration that they were currently thinking on. They did not mess with me. Either they moved away or they just stopped talking to me, and some of them became my friends. Crazy. And a lot of them apologized too, and they had no idea why they were, but I know why. Because I was putting out that I deserve this, and this is who I am, and treat me this way. And that is what I was putting out. And when I made that shift in dimensions, when I shifted myself from a 3D consciousness thinking into a 5D consciousness thinking of, I am amazing, I am capable, I'm smart, I am beautiful, I am likable, I am that girl that you want to be friends with. That is who I became. Now, for me, because this was before I knew about law of attraction, this was before I knew about manifestation, it took me a little bit longer to get my results. It took me about a year or two to finally get to that peak. But that is because when you are so used to living in the third dimensional consciousness, everything moves by slower. When you're in 3D, you're working on things, it takes a lot slower. You have to work so hard to get what you need done, and it does work. However, when you make that shift into the fifth dimension, your manifestations come so much faster. Your vibration is accelerated in speed of your results, and more happiness and joy come to you at a much accelerated pace, because this is the vibration that we're all supposed to be living in for success. Now this slows you down. If you still have guilt, if you still have fear, if you still have anger, if you still have shame, if you still have loneliness, if you still have that, it's going to weigh you down. You cannot attract positive things with negative energy. It is impossible. And I've said this many times before because it is true. But when you actually believe, when you dive, when you refuse to take what you don't want to believe anymore and take what you do want to believe and make it your reality, then you are shifting and you are realizing the power that you actually have and the power that the universe is giving to you to literally jump to dimensions of what you want to experience. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope that gave you clarity in mind. I hope I helped you out understand how to transcend into different dimensions and how you can not just create your own reality, but just shift into the reality that already exists within this time frame. You just have to become that which of what you want. You have to vibrate at a more loving and more giving and a more appreciative and a more satisfactory way than trying to live in the third dimension and get things done at such a slower pace. And sometimes you just fail because you're in such a negative frequency that you can't even grasp the things that are living in the fifth dimension. Happiness, joy, peace, all of that. You cannot attract flies with vinegar. You attract them with honey. So, like I said, I hope that this helped you understand, and I really want to know what you were able to shift yourself into the comments after doing this practice. And don't forget to give this video a like if you like this video. If you liked me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that bell notification. That way you get notified right away when I drop videos straight on the tube. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Blessings to you all. And remember, you choose what you want to experience. Now is the time to make the choice. Bye.